interesting how we kind of got to this point, right? Like, whenever I come and do podcasts with people, there's usually a story behind how I connected with that person. We were just showing a past episode to you of the one that we did with Greg Benz, the resin artist, which I think that's a cool connection because they're like right down the street there. Yeah. And then we were talking earlier about Taylor, who I happen to do jiu-jitsu with, who works for TD. And that connection was just hilarious because he's probably one of the most clean-cut guys you'll ever meet. So A, you may never know he does jiu-jitsu. But second, I had no clue that he was working with you guys for the big event you were doing at the convention center, which sadly I missed, but next year I'll be there. I'll commit to having a table for me and my team out there because I've always watched what YOU's doing, but I never really understood what you guys were doing, right? I know there's really cool business connections in terms of people in my community that I know do stuff with you guys from really a place of giving, like Rodney Lover from Lovers at Work. Yeah. And I know you guys have done events in this cafe where you bring in people in the community and they kind of share stories and whatnot. But when we connected and kind of went over the entire building, that's where I wanted to come down and sit down with you, Steve, and talk about really exposing our entire audience to what you guys are doing. So A, people know the resources are here, and then B, maybe there's some connections and community things that can happen between you and people that we know in our community that can really help curate and build things from a social level, right? Because like when we were taking the tour earlier, I mean, let's first break down where we're sitting. So give me the genesis story of YOU Cafe, and then maybe we can get into the other parts of the building.
Absolutely. So the cafe started off as, actually started off just making jams and preserves in church kitchens.
Okay.
Way back.
Yeah.
And using it as a platform to teach young people all about the world of work. Mm-hmm. Not because we want to make jams, but because we want to help young people understand what jobs are all about. And the jams preserves had a capacity to do that to a level. We got a little bit into catering, that helped a little bit.
Yeah.
But when you're borrowing space from churches and so on, you're subject to their priorities, things might change, whatever their kitchen, yeah. Exactly. So when we created the Cornerstone building, we thought it was really important to anchor the main floor with a cafe because that allows for two things. One is it allows for just to blow up the concept of training young people in this industry rather than just limiting to jams and preserves and a very limited catering menu. Every day we can offer the catering, the customer service of walk-in traffic and so on. So this cafe right now on an average day is serving about 400 meals.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And you wouldn't know that by walking in because it's not always packed.
Yeah.
That 400 meals is about 200 of them are Meals on Wheels.
Okay.
We do some daily food now for Dale Head Injury Services as well.
Okay.
So there's a great community connection there. The other catering that happens with businesses that hire us to cater their functions and so on, and the walk-in traffic. And why do we do that? We do that because we want to train young people all about the world of work, and there's almost no better platform than the food industry.
It's true.
We all need to eat.
Yeah.
We can learn at the very least how to take care of our own food security better, right? Along with the customer feedback is amazing. If you get a customer that's satisfied with their food, that person hears that story right away.
Okay.
So the reinforcement, the pride that goes with, I know I put out a lot of good food today, and many customers came up and told me that.
Yeah.
You feel good. You feel confident. You can manage stress because you didn't know that you're going to have this many customers today as opposed to that many customers.
You never know in that world.
You never know.
Yeah.
You know, you worked in the food industry, right?
I was in it for a decade, and like it literally, a lot of people in my world now come from that world where you literally spend every day is a new adventure, right? And I mean, yeah. I was really impressed the first time I came in here. The burger I had was unreal. The coffee that I'm drinking now is spectacular. The packaging of the products that you have is probably some of the best that I've seen in that industry, and your service delivery standards very, very high. So to take people and put them in this environment, I mean, I always took a lot of pride in my work, and even when I was coming up and everybody else was out having fun, I was slugging bags of garbage through the restaurant every weekend. I took a sense of pride in my work because I knew I was doing something of value, right? I was part of that process, and yeah, I didn't own the restaurant, but I was definitely an integral part of what was happening on a larger scale.
Right.
And there was a sense of satisfaction from the people that I interacted with, and many of those relationships have come back tenfold down the road just by, you know, goodwill and just connecting with people. So this is a great platform for that.
That's awesome.
Because of the training aspect of it, but then also understanding that not every day is going to be easy, not every day is going to be the same. Some days are going to be very boring, and you got to learn to deal with kind of all aspects of that, right?
Exactly. And it's also allowed for a community engagement platform that, again, we just didn't have before.
Yeah.
So once a month, for example, we do something called Cornerstone Cuisine in this space. We bring in a guest chef.
Okay.
And so we've dealt with Jill from Jill's Table.
Yep.
The chef from Plant Matter. When Plant Matter was around, they came in. Some of the leading chefs, the head chef from Fanshaw's culinary program.
Okay.
He's done it a couple times. Growing chefs.
Yeah.
So some of the best restaurants and best chefs in our city, they come in here, they bring in their food philosophy, they bring in their training platform, they bring in their notoriety.
That's amazing.
Into our space. So the young people that we deal with on a daily basis, now they're meeting a whole new food philosophy, a whole different chef.
Yeah.
As you know, each chef is almost like a different artist, right?
And it's a completely different skill set. Every chef is going to have things that are proprietary to them, but people think they don't want to share because they spend so much time curating those skills. It's the complete opposite. The people that I know that are passionate, Glenn is actually a client of mine. I'm friends with the Wolf brothers, Tommy Waite, the in-home chef. Like, they will literally come to your house and show you what they know because they're just super passionate about it, and they're always working on the next thing. So it's cool that they're sharing their skill set with you guys as well.
Exactly. And Jill, every time she's done it, Jill Wilcox, she's done it probably 3 or 4 times now. Every time she's done it, she's blown away by the passion and the drive that the young people here have. And she wouldn't have known that otherwise. And she's come across people where she said, I know their formal training is limited, but this person, for example, is a gifted bakery chef. And I've never come across anybody better as somebody with raw talent. And these are sometimes people that are just getting by on very limited situations. And sometimes they're coming here to volunteer just for the thrill of being around these guest chefs.
That's amazing, because when we were in the other room talking about that, we were talking about how, society as a whole has a stigma of what success is and what success isn't. Let alone, you have people that outwardly show signs of success by what they have or what job title they have or whatever it may be. But the term I used earlier is they're living lives of quiet desperation. They're unhappy, they don't have good family lives, and they don't have passions in their life. Sometimes all it takes is somebody anchoring down into something that they can get their hands dirty with and feel like, I just did something that maybe only 5% of the world can do. And they find that raw talent. And I mean, with mediums like this, where there is no barrier, right? These people can turn into what their passions truly are versus just feeling like they're a cog in a wheel and they don't necessarily have a purpose, which I think that translates across both bounds, both people that aren't in situations similar to people that may come to YOU and people that are in similar situations as people that come to YOU, that we all struggle with the same things, right?
Exactly. And sometimes at these special events, these Cornerstone Cuisines, or we have another great partnership with Ivy Academy. Okay, cool. So Ivy does leadership programs for Maple Leaf Foods as one of their customers, for example. So Maple Leaf, a few times a year, they bring in their top executives from across the country and across their whole company into a leadership training program at Ivy.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I've heard about that.
One night a week, Ivy brings them in one night during that week. Ivy brings them in here for an experience in this community. And it becomes actually a very warm, emotionally and incredibly warm, and a very engaging night.
That's awesome.
So young people that have not seen themselves having a lot of talent, a lot of ability to offer other people, they're actually becoming very engaged in a night of leading executives from all across this massive company. Yeah. And they're teaching them things that we structure an experiential evening that night. Everybody walks away feeling just embraced by the culture of this space.
It's a community, right? And I think that's the delineation or the connection I saw between the cafe and let's jump into the other side of the building, where you create an environment like this where anybody can come on their own and check the space out and eat and grab a coffee and meet with clients. They can also let people know that if they know anybody that's struggling, or there are people in the community that don't feel like there's anywhere for them to go to talk to somebody, give me a rundown of what happens next door.
Next door is where we have all of our transition services, our supportive housing programs. It's based out of what we call our Youth Action Center. Okay. So out of that space, it's the most informal of any part of YOU. You can basically just wander in. And you can wander in during daytime hours when it's open. It's open till 8 p.m. Monday to Friday as well. and basically say, you know what, I'm struggling. I might need housing, maybe I have an addictions issue, maybe I don't know what I really want for my next step, or I'm not prepared to tell you right now.
Yeah.
But I'm just coming in. And it's a non-judgmental space where staff informally will just start getting to know somebody.
Yeah.
And it's not about which program and what program, and let's get you signed up for this workshop and so on. It's about, hey Justin, glad to see you today.
Yeah.
Let's chat about what we can do for you today.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's organized around a meal, because that brings the safety, the comfort, the security, and then along with that, hey, if you're looking for housing, we can help you out.
Yeah.
We can help you out in this building, or we can help you out in other community spots somewhere in the city. What part of the city you want to live in? How are things going for you right now? We're part of your community. We want to be there to help you. We're not signing you up for workshops. We're not signing you up to be in a job program or a training program or go back to school necessarily. We might get there.
Yeah.
But right now it's about what can we do for you.
And I think, again, right, like in my industry, I'll kind of translate it from what I deal with, and we work with a lot of referral business because it's just people that know us that we tend to want to work with, because one thing you run into with the public is, what do you want from me, right? So you come to a place like YOU and you have no idea what they offer. You walk in the door, you think they're going to take you in the back and say, drink the Kool-Aid or go sign up for this or whatever it's going to be, right? Yeah. But that's not the vibe I got at all the first time, and that's why we're here today. Is it's almost just, it's a safe spot in the city. It's Dundas, or it's Richmond and York Street. Doors wide open. There's people there that have no end game. Right. If it's just to come in the one time and grab a bite to eat, you can do that. If you have a mountain to climb and you need help with one step and then the next step and then the next step, that's what it's there for. Yeah. But at any point in time, you have that ability to not feel judged, not feel like you're being intaked through a system. It's nice because I think the majority of a lot of the government programs, that's where they kind of fail out is, no fault to the government, because they have to have certain checks and balances and it has to be systemized to scale. You guys you're in the community dealing with people on a one-to-one basis. You've got the ability to be flexible and fast, which is where it needs to be, because, you know, in my previous life, as we were saying earlier, I had some things that I struggled with, and thankfully, you know, I felt like it was by the grace of God that I got saved twice from going down a path that would have led me to destruction, for sure. Right. But, you know, when I see people in the community that are struggling, I know that now there's a place that I can just connect them and say, hey, like, these guys have no end game. They don't want anything from you. I know if you see me dressed in this, you think I'm going to try and sell you a house. Go talk to these guys. They'll get you food. Or if you're dealing with abuse issues, or, you know, that I didn't realize that human trafficking was such a big issue in the city until we sat down and talked, right? Like, I've heard crazy stories since we've talked about things that are happening in our city, and people feel like that's going to be their life forever, but it doesn't have to be. And sometimes they just have to take that first step and then talk to somebody like the girl you were telling me about that went through the system. Now she's going to Western. Yeah. And she's speaking to groups being like, hey, I lived this, I was there, you can do this too, and she's pumped up about it, right? Exactly. So kudos to you guys for kind of tying into the community that way. Yeah. Yesterday I was in this cafe, and there was a graduate of one of our programs. When she was in our program, a single mom, and she talks about this publicly, a single mom where she was struggling to get her daughter to childcare by bus, and from one end of the city to the other. She had a 2-hour commute to come here every day. Yeah. And she was a young mom, and she said things like, you know, on the bus periodically, I would run into things like other riders on the bus saying, too bad, kids having kids. And there she is trying to build a future for herself. Make her life better, right? Just getting through her day. Yeah. Periodically you get judged, and it'd be easy then to pull back. But she never did. She kept pushing, graduated. She actually came back to a YOU event, but as a representative of a company that hired her, who just happened to say, you know what, we want to participate in this YOU event, we need somebody to go, can you go? Not even knowing that there was a connection there. Yeah. So yesterday, what do I see? I see her coming through here and bringing another young person who currently is struggling with some stuff, and just walking her through this space, letting this young person know what the space is. And through this graduate's ears and eyes, I hear things like, these people are so nice. They're not going to judge you. They're going to be here for you. You're going to love this space. I want to show you around because you're going to want to come back. And it's really beautiful when you see that happening. And it's not someone saying, you got to go there, and you got to do this, you got to do that. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Easy for you to say, and shame on anybody who judges anybody. you know, walk a mile in that person's shoes. And not only that, most people do have skeletons in their closet. So who are you to cast a stone at somebody on a bus like that, not knowing where that person came from and not knowing that she's on the way to better her life, and you may be the cause for her failing,
right?
Just from an off-the-cuff comment like that, because you think you're better than, right? So, yeah, I'm trying to make you guys feel too bad about yourselves, but be aware of the people that are in your community, right? And try to lift other people up. If you see somebody in a situation, you know, talk to them, or you know, use the platform, the fact that you're watching this, or you're connected to the community anyway, and let them know that there's options out there. The last thing I kind of want to touch on with you is the very, very rooftop. So we've done a lot of business in and around this area, and I've seen aerial photos and stuff, and I'm like, there's a garden on that roof. So where did the rooftop concept come from? What are you guys doing up there?
We want to make full use of every inch of space in this building. It's a great resource.
Okay.
So on that rooftop, there's a green roof up there. So the planters have been built in our wood shop.
Okay.
We hire a gardener every year, and her job is to do two things. One is to help populate the planters, because we will use that produce in our cafe.
Okay.
When we're looking at this as being a teaching facility, we're not only preparing people to work in a restaurant, because many have no interest in working in a restaurant.
Yep.
Preparing them to work and to understand, how do I cultivate a tomato? What do I do with a raw tomato?
Yeah.
How do I take it from that plant, you know, on a plant, on into something that's going to be so tasty and nutritious? And so being part of that whole circle of food security is an amazing opportunity for young people. And also too, to engage the people that live in this building. There's 30 residents that call this building their home. And for them, we give them access and give them opportunity to find ways in which the gardener can bring that food security to them. So then it's not just about commercializing what's on that rooftop.
Yeah.
It's all about, you know, let's do a nutritious food night tonight. And that, along with some other people, we have dietitians that work out of this program. We can look at nurse practitioners, people that want to help young people learn how to prepare a healthy meal. And that food becomes a really important part of that. The rooftop itself, you've seen it as we walk through there.
Really cool.
It's an amazing space. It's another opportunity to engage community. We want people to come into this space ultimately because it's a great space to be in. And come back because it's a great space to be in, and they're helping to build a community just by coming in. So we have special events up there frequently too.
And it's a comfortable spot for people as well too, right? Like I was mentioning when we were upstairs that there's networking groups that I've been invited to that have showcased events upstairs. The boardroom, like on a sunny day too, like we caught some sunshine early. It's beautiful, like one of the best views in the city. And it's, again, you've got a really interesting balance that you've created between this environment, the intake, which you need a safe place for people to feel that they can come, but then a place like that where everybody's kind of mixed together. And you're talking about food nutrition, you guys probably eat better than the general consumer out there that's putting Pop-Tarts in their shopping cart, right? If you're actually, there's a lot to be said for growing your own food and being like, wow, like I created that from nothing, chopping it up, serving that to somebody, like there's such a satisfaction that comes from that, right?
I love it in the spring and the summer when you see a young person that's working here and being trained here, and they're going upstairs to harvest the herbs and the vegetables for today's salads. It's amazing, and they're walking in with big baskets of, you know, the herbs, tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, and so on that we're growing up there, and then they're going to turn that into today's salads and tomorrow's soups and so on. It's amazing.
It is, and there's something that I really want to get across to you guys that are watching this. We do all this content for free. Only thing that I ask is you come here at least one time, and I promise you, you'll see that care in the product. I came from the restaurant industry and customer service previously to what I do now, and I pay attention when I go to restaurants, and I said to you last time I was here, the quality of the food and the service was amazing. So you'll be blown away and you'll see that care, and I'll actually pop by a whole bunch more in the summer just to see that, right? Because knowing that the food's coming from up there, literally, you talk farm to table, you guys are roof to table, which is even faster, right? So, no, I can't stress enough, you guys have to make an effort. The next time you have a lunch meeting or you want to go somewhere to grab a coffee, just pop in YOU Cafe. And the last message I want to get across is if you know anybody that's struggling with any type of issue, they're here for you guys, right? Reach out to them directly. We'll put all your information in the actual links. You can reach out to me. My cell phone number, you guys have it. If you don't, 519-860-6547. Text me and I'll connect you with you guys because it's an amazing resource in the community that people need to know about. So I really appreciate your time, and I look forward to seeing what you guys create across the street.
That's awesome. Thanks so much, Justin.
Yeah, my pleasure. That was awesome.
Thanks.
That was good.
That was a lot of fun. Yeah, that was great.